Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the podcast. Beyond the Menu is a show where we'll talk to top industry executives and operators about innovation, growth, and success. We'll have guests from some of your favorite concepts and iconic brands talking about navigating through a pandemic, shifting business models, growing strategic relationships, and much more. We hope you stick around, so make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with our latest episodes, and we'll see you beyond the menu.
Well, thank you very much for joining us on Beyond the Menu, a podcast with Decision Logic. We want to welcome our very special guests here. We have Garret Mills and Matt Thompson from RibCrib or Chandler Hospitality. Hi, guys.
Hi, Andy. How are you doing?
I'm really good. How are you?
Doing good.
Doing good. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. We are very excited to have you on the show today. And I guess if we wouldn't mind getting started, I guess we'll start with you, Garret. Would you tell us a little bit about how you got started in the industry and your journey with Chandler and previously RibCrib?
Sure thing. So Garret Mills, and I serve as president and CEO of our company. I took a little bit of a windy road to get here. Originally played professional football back after I graduated from undergrad, and spent 6 years doing that and decided to go to grad school. So went to Northwestern and got my MBA before landing at Goldman Sachs and working in finance. From there, struck up a friendship with our founder and chairman and was looking for a career change. And he offered me a job to come join the RibCrib team. And that was in 2017. Served in a few different roles that we can discuss if you'd like, but ultimately was named president of our company in May of 2019 and have been in that position since.
Excellent. Yeah, we were very, very excited to have you join the team. I know Matt and I have been working together as partners for quite some time, and you have quite the following in Tulsa. So it's really great to see you to be part of such a great organization that also has a huge following in Tulsa. So we're excited to hear about that. So Matt, you and I have been working together for quite some time, being partners with Decision Logic and RibCrib. Tell us a little bit about your history.
Well, mine isn't quite as exciting. I started out 26 years ago. I got a call from a great friend of mine at the time, or still is. He's our current CFO. He was washing dishes at store number 2. And they had a line cook not show up. He was getting promoted or pushed onto at the time the line, and wanted to know if I wanted to come wash dishes. So I had just left a job at a grocery store, and I said sure. And went through college, working on the nights and weekends, and was asked to join the management team. And I didn't at the time have know how much the restaurant industry gets in your blood, and I've kind of been here ever since. I've done every position from washing dishes and currently the vice president of operations.
I love how the restaurant industry has so many self-made people. We all started, many of us, from humble beginnings and work our way up through the chain. So it's exciting to see those leaps and bounds that folks can make in such an industry.
It's a great industry to as long as you work hard and push yourself and you continue to educate yourself to be able to move up in this industry is pretty exciting.
It's very exciting. Well, thanks for sharing part of your journey with us. So with RibCrib and Decision Logic, I know that we have been partners together for going on, I think, 13 years now. So I was hoping that maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you choose the vendor partners that you choose inside of your organization, and kind of some of the decisions that you make about that.
Yeah, I can take that one. I think really the thing that stands out to me, and especially in the last few years, is an ability and a willingness to kind of stay ahead of innovation and be on the forefront of whatever the vendor is service is providing to the industry. I think you have, over time, you have kind of the gorillas, if you will, of the industry, and they kind of capture a huge market. But I think sometimes what happens is they lag somewhat in innovation because they maybe don't have to. And so you have smaller players come in and kind of bring an innovative piece that all of a sudden kind of get you interested in what other vendors are doing. So I think that's certainly the first thing that comes to my mind is that innovative piece.
That's great. Matt, do you have anything that you want to add to that particular section?
I think Garrett covered it well. I think having vendors that we can rely on to stay ahead of things, and then also help grow with us, and not be stagnant and where they're at is extremely important to help us grow.
Yeah, and I think I'll add, I think certainly trust and transparency are always going to shine through, and I think that's across all industries, but certainly in the restaurant business, I think that's an important aspect to a good partnership.
Absolutely. And if I could add a little bit to that, I think that, one of the things that has always drawn me to the restaurant business is the fact that it really is the people business, and it's a people business in a market that happens to serve food and beverage. And we're in the people business that happens to supply technology to those of you that are doing that same thing. And I think if you don't add that human element to that piece, then we all lose in that aspect, right? And I think that that's definitely kind of what you were touching on a little bit when you were talking about the gorillas in the industry. I think that sometimes they forget that it is about the people and making sure that we're all taking care of each other, especially in times like these. So speaking of the people that you serve, you were recently mentioned in the news for launching a loyalty program. Could one of you tell us a little bit about why you chose to implement that program into your offerings today?
Yeah, I think first, certainly when you could break that question kind of into a few parts, but first is why loyalty. And I think pretty naturally it's known it's to create stickiness, to create loyalty and hopefully influence behavior to increase the number of visits of a customer. For us, I think the next part of that is why Thanks. Why did we choose to partner with Thanks specifically? And I think it comes down to a few things. First is the advancement or improvement of our digital experience for our customer. We had partnered with Olo earlier in the year, and for us, Thanks was just an enhancement to the out-of-box Olo solution provided by Olo. Next comes down to data. We knew we wanted to learn about our customers, and we needed a partner that helped us not only gather that data, but interpret the data and make sure we use it and maximize the use of it. And I think the final piece is why now. I think more than ever, when we think about incentivizing and influencing our customer base, keeping them on our platform so that we own the customer versus a third-party delivery, for example. I think third-party deliveries have proven and shown to provide a desired service to the market, but at the same time, their incentives don't always align with the restaurant groups they partner with or restaurants they partner with. And as a result, we want to make sure we're doing what we can to compete with them. And so our customers use our platform versus others so that we own the customer, own the information gathered from the customer to ultimately provide a better experience for that same customer.
That's excellent. Yeah, I know that's something that you guys deliberated for quite some time about how you're going to execute that and make sure that it was really personalized to your guest experience. So it's great that you found a partner that's actually able to deliver what you were expecting on that. So really happy and excited to see where that takes off.
Thank you. We are as well.
With Chandler Hospitality, the parent company that owns RibCrib also encompasses two other brands, one of which is near and dear to both of your two hearts. And another concept that you're about to launch. Can you tell us a little bit about how those concepts came to fruition and how has your vision for those concepts evolved over time?
Yeah, starting with Society Burger, so RibCrib, as it may have been mentioned before, is 28 years old. We were started in 1992, and in 2017 we decided. So 25 years into the company, we decided we were going to launch a new concept, and that's actually when I joined. And I think, Mandy, you know this well, but Matt and I worked closely together in the development of Society, and as a result, you're right, it is near and dear to our hearts. But I think at the time in the summer of 2017, when I joined, we had decided we were going to enter the burger segment, but didn't really know what that meant other than let's go do burgers. I think it's well documented at this point. The better burger segment has been a growing one. call it for the last 5 years, maybe. And this was our take and play to kind of enter that segment. It's heavy craft beer, it's heavy local craft beer. But I think most importantly, when we think about Society Burger, it stays true to our mission statement, which is make every rib righteous and keep every glass full. And for us, being a barbecue company, obviously that leans into both the thoughtfulness we put behind our food, but also the genuine hospitality that we lean into in our restaurants as well. So Society Burger is a full service concept, leans into craft burgers, but it's also very much a kind of crafty kitchen forward concept. But also kind of provides that hospitality that RibCrib's known for as well.
Well, I've definitely been there, and I can attest to that is definitely what is happening at that place. And I think that you're being a bit modest when you're talking about it's just going to do burgers. Your take on that was definitely spot on. And for those folks that haven't had an opportunity to try that restaurant, Society Burger does definitely lean into that. Talk a little bit about that hospitality factor of why to keep every glass full. I know my late brother-in-law, when I first started waiting tables in the restaurant business, said, keep a smile on your face and keep the drinks full and you'll make good money. And it sounds like RibCrib definitely adopts that, as well as Society. So tell me a little bit about why that means so much to hospitality and why that means so much to you guys.
Yeah, I'll take that, Garrett. To us, it's so important to treat every single guest that walks inside of our doors like they're walking inside of our house. And if you have a guest inside your house, you're going to make sure that everything's taken care of. From are they comfortable? Do you need to set your bag down somewhere, to making sure their glass is full at all times. And if we have that mentality towards every guest that walks into any of our concepts, we don't really have to worry about our concepts because we love food. We do food extremely well. But it's that main part is just making sure every guest feels like you're taking care of them at your house, and they'll come back for that. So it's huge in this industry.
For sure. So as far as the Society Burger concept, and do you guys want to talk about the other concept that's soon to launch? Are we talking about that today?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's certainly well known in our building. It's not public yet. So consider this, I guess, breaking news. So we're launching a taco concept. Foxy Tacos is the name that we're really excited about. And it's really how I just described Society Burger. It's the taco version of that. It is going to be counter service, so it's a little different in that regard. But it's homemade tortillas. It's smoked meats that are done well, and it's Tex-Mex, which who doesn't like Tex-Mex?
I know the saying at our house is siempre más tacos, so we're all about it. We can't wait to travel through. All right. So with Society Burger, and I know that the Foxy Taco is just about to launch, but tell me a little bit about, has either concept evolved from what you originally conceptualized versus where you're hitting the ground? Society's been open 2 locations now. So has anything evolved or changed in your original plan for that location or for that concept since you've opened?
Yeah, we have had, of course, we've evolved. I think you have to evolve. What looks good on paper and what's in your head doesn't always work out to be the best thing. So we have adjusted some labor models there, still full service, but we were 100% scratch kitchen for a long time. And we've adjusted, still scratch kitchen, but we've adjusted some things from operational efficiency standpoint to really hone in on hitting the target that we had set forth for ourselves. So, those have been important changes for us.
Yeah, I think with any new concept, you have ideas on how you think it's going to go. You have ideas on what the response is going to be to certain menu items, to a vibe, to drink offerings. But until you open your doors and you actually get that customer feedback, whether it be through actual feedback or just watching their behaviors, you have to be able to kind of listen, learn, and adapt accordingly. And I think we've had some tweaks in the menus. There's certainly plenty of the concept that we haven't strayed from because we believe it's part of what society is. But traditionally we're not an innovative, a concept developing company. Obviously RibCrib was developed 28 years ago, but we haven't developed anything since. And so for us as an organization, there was plenty to learn as we rolled out something new, and we knew that would be part of it. And obviously we know it'll be part of it moving forward as well.
Yeah, I think that RibCrib is kind of a household name in the areas in which you operate, and it's exciting to see that society is becoming that as well. And I can't wait to see what Foxy Taco does as well. So that's really exciting for you guys. To shift to a slightly less exciting topic, I know that COVID has affected our industry in many ways, and you guys definitely were bobbing and weaving from the get-go to try to work through some of those challenges. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe some of the bigger challenges that you face as an organization and, things that you saw your team do to overcome some of those challenges and ideas that came from those?
Yeah, I would say our biggest challenge, we currently operate in 7 states, and through COVID, especially the beginning of COVID, mandates and regulations were city by city. And so to keep up with the ever evolving mandates out there, what we decided to do is we shifted our training department into what we call the COVID task force. And our training department was in charge every single day. They went out and either called the health departments or visited city and state sites to find out exactly what was changing on a day-to-day basis. And they were able to keep our executive team, and more importantly, our unit level teams 100% up to date on that information. The neat part of that, it was all the single source. So everyone knew who to call if anything came up COVID. So that was probably the biggest shift that happened towards the first part of COVID. I would say the biggest problem now is really fighting COVID fatigue. It's, clearly ensuring that the health and safety of all of our customers or guests and employees is primary. But that extends to the mental health too. And I think in many industries, we're facing extreme burnout with the ever-changing, evolving things going on with COVID right now.
Yeah, I'll just add, obviously it's not to diminish anything about the actual effects of the virus. And like Matt said, keeping our guests and our employees safe is our primary focus. But I think right now it's kind of the unspoken or hidden effects are more the mental effects of society in general, but for us, our employees. We've asked a lot out of our managers, out of our really team, top to bottom. Through the bottom, it was pure survival, and because of that, we tasked them with a lot. We pushed them to their limits, and I think it's our job now to make sure that they come out of this still excited to be employees of RibCrib and excited to be a part of our team.
Absolutely. I know that Matt and I had many conversations at the very beginning of just trying to figure out what other groups were doing and trying to share ideas and trying to work together to just keep everybody afloat. And I think that one of the things that we really found inspiring was so many different teams coming up with innovative ways to get across to the other side. I know the pantry items that you guys put together to make sure that teams or customers had a way to get toilet paper even, or, packaged meals that they could reheat at home. I know I love to cook, and I was over it after like 7 days. So I definitely understand how everybody was kind of trying to shift to do that. Of your teams or even of your partners during this extremely tough time, is there anything that stood out to you guys as super inspiring that either an individual or a group of people did that really blew you away?
Yeah, I think, the things that come to mind for me, I think giving back has and will always be part of our company culture. One moment or period of time that stands out to me is when we did, or in the fall, we do a golf tournament, and we raise roughly $100,000 each year that we then pass out or give away to local charities that we've chosen, usually 5. So we do
By far
the
my
tournament.
favorite event of the year, if I can interject.
Thank you. We're very proud of the golf tournament that we put on. But I think the reason I bring it up now is because we usually issue those payments in April. And as you can imagine, in April of this year, we, along with everyone else in our industry, we're feeling somewhat in dire straits where we don't know what May looks like. We don't know what June looks like. We don't even know if we're going to see July. But even though we were kind of faced with economic uncertainty, to put it lightly, we ensured that we stuck with our I guess not our obligation, but at least our word in giving back. And we had raised that money. We issued those checks out to those charities, and just stuck with that commitment that we'd already given to them, even though for us, we didn't know what $100,000 would mean for us in the coming weeks. So there's that. And I think to take that a step further, excuse me, I think it was June or July, there was a local police officer that was killed in action, and he was a customer of one of our stores. And, kind of like I just set up the initial give in this scenario, I think in normal times we would, and as we did, we stuck with kind of what our response would be, even if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic, which was we gave 100% of our profits for an entire week to a charity that went towards this fallen police officer's family. So those two things stick out to me only because even though times have been tough, I think it's inspiring for us and our company to be able to lean into our culture of giving back and not stray from that.
Yeah, and I'll throw another example out is that that culture stems from the top, and we push it down as far as we can. And I had a store in a small town in Oklahoma, Duncan, where they had a mental health facility there that something happened. The kitchen stuff quit working in there, and they had to make a panic order for 50 sandwiches for their for the people that reside there. And when, of course, we took that and said absolutely, and we actually had one of our cooks decide that they wanted to pay for it to just to give back. And so those type of acts, they stem from the top, they're all the way down through every aspect of our organization.
That is just amazing. It's always, but never surprising to me at the same time, how much hospitality just bleeds through to every single individual that works in this type of business. And for sure, giving back is at the root of that, right? This person said, we've invited these folks into my home. This is my house. I work in the kitchen here, and these folks are here, and I'm going to make sure that it's great, and I'm going to take care of it. That's just something else. It's really great. How inspiring for you guys to have such amazing people work for you. So a couple of things that has come to mind, a lot of the groups that we've worked with had systems or processes that were completely uprooted during this difficult time. And some of those things have influenced permanent changes for some of our organizations. Like they plan on continuing some of the things that they've changed. Some of them are just like, can't wait till things get back to normal. But is there any processes or maybe menu items or different things that you've done that you plan to continue even post-COVID? God help us we get there.
Yeah, we've had a few that have really I think we intend on sticking. Our labor model would probably be the biggest, the first one that pops in my head. When you go from staffing every single position to not having dining rooms open to going to go only, it really makes you look at your labor model and find efficiencies there. And so we have really pushed towards productivity, so we can better use data to analyze what labor should be, across all of our stores. And I can compare like stores to one another and really find where are those stores that are most efficient out there and how are they doing that. And we're able to share schedules, of, how are you hitting those kind of numbers? And so they share schedules. We use a Microsoft Teams. So all of our stores are in constant communication with one another and sharing out good ideas. And the other one I would say is probably takeout practices and procedures, going in, not knowing, but going into COVID, barbecue is a very takeout friendly concept. And so we were already doing a very good to go business, and we kind of knew how to do that, but we still had to stop and really look at ourselves in the mirrors and say, where can we get more efficient in this? And, the amount of deliveries that were coming out, we had to find some bags that were sealable, so we knew the product was getting to our guests safely. We had to adjust some back of the house line flows to really set up a whole separate line for to-goes once our dining rooms opened back up. So we were able to get the food out timely and efficiently. And so, I give all the props to my operators out there in the field that were able to bob and weave and adjust it. It seemed like every day or every half day that we had to figure something else out. So, I give them all the credit for that. And my team, we just gather those great ideas together and then implement those across the system.
Garret, wouldn't you say that pretty much any of those guys could probably teach at least a one-day course for organizational management, having gone through some of those things?
It's amazing what we've learned just in the last 9 months and the experiences we've had to go through. I think just to add to some of the topics, or one of the topics Matt brought up. I think when it comes to productivity, the thing that we found was, rather than focusing on labor percents just as a percentage of revenue, oftentimes what happens when you just look at percents, you kind of push away, due to all the variables, you kind of push away some of the differences that may arise. And for us, we have ground up buildings, we have retrofits, we have counter service, we have full service. And so for us, it was tough to standardize just based on labor percent relative to sales. And when we shifted that thinking and thought more about productivity, we were able to control for many of those variables to help our managers understand what really they're aiming for. And I think that's been a great change to see. And I think ultimately that comes from, when you're seeking operational improvements just for the sake of improving, it's hard to find some of that fat to trim. But when you're seeking operational improvements, because it's whether you survive as an organization or not, it's amazing how many of those suddenly appear. And we were able to take advantage of some of that and trim some of those operational inefficiencies that I think will help us in the long term.
That's great. Yeah, I know that we definitely interviewed your organization as one of the organizations that helped contribute to the mobile application that Decision Logic did release in response to this COVID effort. And, making sure that you had that type of information at your fingertips first thing in the morning as you're getting ready to head out into the field. Which location do I need to be paying attention to? And one of the things that Matt had told us specifically was not all these concepts are the same. In one concept, I need to look at sales per labor hour. And in a different concept, I want to look at percentage. And in a different concept, I want to look at dollars spent. And so we just say thank you for the help in helping us to realize the different business cases that we were trying to solve to, again, help everyone survive, not just make decisions for decision's sake or just trying to trim little pieces of fat, but what do we need to do to make sure that you all are going to be there tomorrow, working with us hand in hand? So we were very, very grateful for the consult on that as well.
Well, let me just add, Mandy, I think that's part of the listen, learn, and adapt kind of mentality, as we being a customer of you, listening to our needs and crafting kind of something that truly is usable, as opposed to just crafting something to put it out into the market. And so, we're certainly thankful for Decision Logic and the role they've played throughout not only this pandemic, but in years past as well.
Thank you.
And Mandy, I've told you this before, but it's still the first thing I look at when I get up in the morning, is jump on there and check out sales and labor and stuff like that. I mean, it's such a neat an effective tool that when used, it really makes a big difference.
I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah, we definitely do not want to do development for development's sake. We are definitely in the business to be innovative partners and want to make sure that we are solving real world business problems with technology and want to make sure that we continue to push that forward. So as the industry continues to move towards that digital strategy and technology becomes more standard practices, tell us a little bit about how you go about selecting, other technologies that you're working with. You talked a little bit about Olo, you talked a little bit about Thinks, a little bit about Decision Logic, and you've touched a little bit on why you choose the partners that you choose, but tell us what's next for RibCrib or Chandler or Foxy Taco or Society as far as technology is concerned.
Well, I think it's what we talked about earlier, and I think it relies on innovation. There's certainly more to partnerships than just an ability to be innovative. I'm sure there's great innovators that are bad partners, so I don't mean to simplify it into just one aspect. But I think when we talk about technology and we talk about data acquisition and we talk about us as an organization being able to truly use, not just have, but truly use and leverage the information that we're able to acquire, I think it has to start with innovation and partners that think of things differently than in the past. Restaurant business has been around for a long time and will continue to be around for a long time. So it's not enough just to be in the business. You need to find a way to put yourself ahead of the competition, whether it be what you do, that the customer can see from a branding and kind of facility standpoint, but also what you do from what the customer can't see, but is potentially influenced by. And I think those are the partners that are going to matter in the long run, and certainly in the years to come. Is how do you truly leverage that information to make an impact for the customer as a restaurant group or restaurant to ultimately impact the end user.
We've talked a little bit about that over the years, right? So we've talked a little bit about making sure that you're actually maximizing the platforms of the things that you're using and talking about the shift and the type of people that you work with and people that want to work for you. You touched a little bit on making sure that the team members that work for you or the team members want to continue to work for you. And you guys have taken massive steps to be an employer of choice. Anywhere from the benefits that you guys offer, the continued change in what you're supplying to the customer, listening to your guests as well, but also listening to the staff and making sure that they have the tools necessary to do their jobs so they feel more comfortable kind of supporting the customers that you have walking in the door, but also adding those things in the background that the guests don't see, right? So a little bit about your Pci Compliance and making sure that your brand is protected and that your customer data is protected. I mean, you guys have taken a lot of really, really big steps over the years to continue to evolve and innovate in that aspect as well. So hats off to you guys for those choices.
Well, you made me think of something there. I think you bring up an important part of our business that oftentimes isn't necessarily heavily discussed or debated or really out there. Usually, most of the conversations stem around how restaurants service the customer. And I think how restaurants service their employees is an important part of the conversation as well, because we don't just compete for customer business, we compete for quality employees. And that's, obviously you can make that statement about other industries as well, but it is highly competitive for us as well from an employee standpoint. And oftentimes we struggle with finding quality employees. And so I think you're right. We also want to make steps to make sure we're an employer of choice, not just a restaurant of choice.
It's all about that people business. Just depends on which area that we're trying to make sure that we're focusing on today, correct?
Yeah.
Matt, do you have anything you want to add as far as any of those pieces, the steps that you've taken as far as technology is concerned to support your team, to support your customers, or to support the brand?
One thing is, as I was listening to you guys talk, I think what we have done and Garret has done so well is surround ourselves with great talented people. If through COVID, we've expanded our marketing department significantly, and we've continued to hire. We'll find a place for a talented person, and so pride our organization in being one that people want to work for, and it starts with just us being grateful that are part of the team and just supporting them and just surrounding yourself with talented people.
It's definitely hard to make sure that you have all of that talent, and when you find those folks, keeping them is definitely a challenge. But you guys have some staff members that have been there for over 15 years. Tell me a little bit about other things that you feel like you guys have done from that partnership perspective with those teammates to keep them engaged and to keep them coming to work every day.
Well, we're constantly trying to evolve and improve on that. What I'm currently doing, and I through maybe at the beginning of COVID, we put together an hourly manager training program where my goal this coming year is to have every one of our hourly managers certified, trained, so they see very concrete steps on how to move forward. And then I'm going to shift that whole concept down to every hourly position. So there will be very visual and very knowing steps on, if you want to advance in the company, these are the steps you have to take. And this is the training that has to be done, and the certifications that have to be done, because with continued and constant training and developing, all of a sudden it becomes real easy to start running restaurants when you have a whole bunch of people that know what's going on around you. It's the restaurants that sit there and churn employees over and over. Those are so hard to manage because no one knows anything. And so, 2021 is really going to be a push in with my operations team to get a whole lot of training done and a whole lot of steps, so every employee can be hired on and know what steps to take and what to do to continue moving up the ladder and continuing growing the knowledge base that we have.
Yeah, I think the creating opportunities for advancement and achievement, I think, are extremely important. When we hire a $10 per hour cook at an entry level position, as an example, I want he or she to understand, where do I go from here? I think they're more motivated and they're a better employee if they don't just view themselves as what they are forever. And by giving them a clear path towards advancement, it gives them something to shoot for just beyond putting their time in for their shift that they happen to be on. And as Matt said, I think it's something that continues to evolve and work on. We're very fortunate to have loyal employees and long tenured employees, but it doesn't mean that I certainly don't think that means we have it figured out either, because as we talked about with technology, times change and we have to be able to learn and adapt as they change.
Those are really great steps. Yeah. In the technology business, we talk about that as gamification, continuing to keep people engaged and achieving and wanting to continue to reach for that next step or that next goal that goes along with it. And obviously they're looking for those steps as well, because those achievements make them feel more honored and more valuable as an employee as well. So kudos to you guys as you continue down that path. So the last question that I have scripted, I guess, as far as what we wanted to cover today is, can you talk to us a little bit about your plans for growth, brand expansion? I know we talked a little bit on the new concept, but I know you guys have other plans as well. So anything you'd like to share on that?
Well, I think as it relates to RibCrib, 28 years in, we've got 55 restaurants. We've really entered a mode of franchise development growth as it relates to RibCrib. We are fortunate through the pandemic, to sign 2 new franchise agreements in the Southeast, one in the Panhandle of Florida and one in Alabama. We have others in the works that hopefully will be announced soon. So I think I'm glad that we own and operate restaurants. So when we partner with franchise groups, obviously we're coming at it as a partnership, as one that runs stores as opposed to one that just sells stores. And I think that's important in our business. And then beyond that, as we've touched on, obviously new concept development is something we've done and are going to continue to lean into. We've done burgers, we have tacos coming, we have other ideas in the works. And then I think the final potential growth piece would be potential acquisition. I think there's going to be opportunities here in the coming months, maybe years, but certainly in coming time that there's going to be opportunities to acquire. And I think there's going to be brands that excite us and that we would like to partner with and take under our umbrella. So time will tell if that comes to fruition, but it's certainly something that's top of mind for us here as we turn the new year.
That's excellent. So as you continue to look at that, we would like to advocate that you expand north a little bit more, if you'd be willing to do that. Having at least one of those concepts a little bit closer to home. We'll come down as many times a year as you'd like us to, but it'd be nice to have you a little bit closer to where we're at. All right, guys. Well, I don't have a ton more questions as far as, talking about partnership and innovation is concerned. We have thoroughly enjoyed our partnership with RibCrib and with Chandler Hospitality as far as, continuing to challenge the status quo on all of our fronts, whether it's us in technology and you guys in food. We're really excited to have you guys as partners and continue to watch you evolve and grow. It's partners like you that make us successful, and we are such big fans of the brand. So we thank you very much for being a part of our podcast today.
Thank you, Mandy. We've enjoyed your partnership as well, and certainly enjoyed the time today.
Thank you.
Absolutely, Mandy. Thank you so much.
Beyond the Menu is presented by Decision Logic, enterprise management software built by restaurateurs for restaurateurs. Are you ready to gain control of your back office? Check us out at decisionlogic.co. That's DECISIONLOGIC.co.